A major call to action is taking place in Nashville tomorrow, where my next guests will join faith leaders from across the United States to denounce Tennessee Republicans for waging war against democracy. The Moral Monday rally comes just days after two black Tennessee state representatives were sworn back into office after being expelled for protesting gun violence on the state House floor. Joining me now is one of the leaders of the rally, Bishop William Barber. He's also the co-chairman of the Poor People's Campaign and the author of the book, We Are Called to Be a Movement, and Tennessee State Representative Justin Jones, who was sworn back into office this past week. Gentlemen, welcome back to the Sunday Show to both of you. Bishop Barber, you started Moral Monday rallies in Raleigh, North Carolina 10 years ago next week. Then it was to protest the extremism of the Tea Party movement. Why are you bringing Moral Mondays to Tennessee tomorrow?
Well, thank you, Jonathan. First of all, we were invited. 10 years ago, it was Tea Party, but it was the same kind of extremism, blocking health care, blocking living wages, trying to expand gun laws, blocking voting rights. And what we see today is an attempt to do it all over again because of the fear of this rising Third Reconstruction moral movement that's happening in Tennessee and Mississippi and Florida and in North Carolina and other places, that Justin Jones and Gloria and Justin Pearson are part of our signal of, clergy and pastors and moral servantly. We can't sit on the sidelines anymore, Jonathan. We can't just do eulogies and pray for folk and comfort them. We have to do the work of engaging and changing the policies of death, the policies causing death. And so the goal of Moral Monday is always to invite clergy, impacted people, other moral agents of society to put a face on the deadly policies, to put a face on the harm, to talk about what the real statistics are. The leading cause of children's death is gun violence. Refusal to ban assault weapons and strengthen gun laws is a form of immorality. It is a form of policy death and policy murder. But we're also going to say 700 people dying a day from poverty, nearly 140 plus million people in this country living in poverty, over 50 million living without a living wage. And right there in Tennessee, 46% of people in Tennessee are poor and low income, over 3 million people. And people are dying, Jonathan, from poverty. So the refusal to address poverty and low wages is immoral. It's a form of policy violence that must be challenged with the moral fusion reconstruction movement. Health care in Tennessee, that the same folk blocking gun laws are blocking expanding health care. 330,000 people died from the lack of health care during Medicaid. Thousands die every day. We can't have that. 700,000 people in Tennessee are uninsured. So when you block banning assault weapons, you block expanding Medicaid, you block addressing poverty and low wages, you are engaging in a form of immoral policy violence that must be challenged by a diverse, intersectional, moral fusion coalition. That's what Justin Jones is talking about when he talks about a third Reconstruction and about the South rising again, and we can do it right here in the South.
Well, Representative Jones, I want to zero in on something specific, because tomorrow's rally of course, comes on the heels of the Nashville school shooting that left 6 dead. And remarkably, Tennessee's Republican governor wants a new law to keep guns away from dangerous people. Now, that's a big deal. But with a Republican supermajority, how is he going to get that bill passed? There aren't enough Democratic votes to get it over the finish line, are there?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Jonathan. It's so great to see Bishop Barber here, because it was the moral movement that actually got me involved 10 years ago in the first place. Reverend Barber is like a godfather and has trained me in this moral framework. And that's what I want to talk about, is that as we look at this fight for common sense gun laws, this is not an issue of left or right, but it is a moral issue of right and wrong. I've talked to more Republicans and people who live in suburban Williamson County about the need for gun laws this week than other people. And so when we look at what's happening in Tennessee, they've passed laws this session to ban books, to ban the LGBTQ community from having drag shows, to ban talking about critical race theory. But we can't talk about the need to ban weapons of war that are killing our children in schools, like here at Covenant Elementary in Nashville. And so I do believe that the people, that there's a movement here that can change political priorities, that though the supermajority is saying they won't act, we know that movements can force them to act, and movements can change the conversation. And if that they won't change their minds, that we have the power to change who's in those seats. And so I'm hopeful by these young young people who are putting the Republican supermajority on notice, particularly Speaker Cameron Sexton, that it's not going to end with this session, that we cannot leave this session without doing the work that the people have sent us here to do. But if you do not act, we will come this summer in like a freedom summer and go to their districts and let the people in East Tennessee and rural counties and West Tennessee know what happened here in Nashville, that our lawmakers chose to bow down to the NRA, to bow down from political contributions from the Tennessee Firearms Association, instead of lift up the most vulnerable in our community. This is very harmful. And I think of the scripture in Isaiah 10, woe to those who pass unjust laws that hurt the poor and rob them of their rights. We're passing unjust laws. We're not doing what Jesus calls us to do in caring for the least of these. We're passing policy violence, and it's immoral, it's extreme, and it's hurting their own people. That's the thing that I want to lift up lastly, is that this is about Black, white, Asian, Hispanic. My district is the most diverse district in the state of Tennessee. There's over 62 languages spoken at a high school in my district. This is an issue that spans race, that spans socioeconomics. It's an issue that we should all be on board with. And that's why I think that governor is finally releasing that statement.